All right, so we are here with our 2024 mock draft with Pierre. We are going to be going back and forth on each pick. What's going on, man? How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm glad that we can finally link up to do this. This draft is very interesting, to say the least. So I'm a little nervous because I don't know what we're gonna do together, and I know even my own mock draft, I'm kind of all over the place. So I think it's gonna be nice to have a little bit of help.
No, yeah, for sure. And I think it's so for us, like when we go back and forth with the picks, I think it's cool because usually when you're making your own mock draft, you can like low key set yourself up to maybe make a pick 3 picks ahead that you kind of like a little bit more. For this, it's unpredictable. Like you may go something at 2 that I'm not ready for at 3, and it can just be kind of interesting that way.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a curveball that kind of throws one of us off, and then we have a completely different type of draft. This draft is so interesting because I feel like there is no like right or wrong answer, as much as Twitter or YouTube comments would try to make it seem like me and you may have 2 different guys at 2 who could fit with the Wizards perfectly fine. So yeah, I think it's gonna be dope, bro.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I think like last year it was pretty consensus. Like there was maybe the Scoot Miller debate at 2, but you kind of knew the top 3 guys. I feel like this draft is going to be everyone has a different top 5 in mocks or in big boards, and that's just gonna make it cool to look back on too in a couple of years.
I agree, man. It's also stressful though. It's very stressful. I spend so much time thinking about each fit, but I think we can do this. I think we got it.
Definitely. So I'll give you the honors of the number 1 pick with the Atlanta Hawks. Who do you got going number 1?
As much talk as this draft has had about it kind of being weak, we also have like the first pick, which is Alex Sarr. I think this is kind of a no-brainer. It's not to say that Alex Sarr is going to be the best player in this draft 5 years from now, undisputedly. It's not to say that he won't be the best player, but I just think that the upside that he has for what the modern game is trying to adjust to, it's hard to pass up on. And I think whether the Hawks keep it, whether they trade it, he's going to be the guy that teams are looking for because he has the size, the range, and the mobility to be able to cover the perimeter and the interior. And then as his offensive game catches up, that's only the sky's the limit. So Alex Sarr, I think, is the undisputed first pick as of now.
Definitely. I have him number 1 as well. And I think for sometimes like when you're the number 1 overall pick and you go into like maybe a poor environment or the team's not really set to do too well next year, like if the Hawks, you would think maybe keep Trae Young this offseason, this is as good as a point guard you can go with to be kind of like a duo with right away, and someone that's going to set you up and help you develop. So you're really going to a great fit there. So that leaves me at number 2, Washington. I've made so many different picks at like number 2 with Washington, but it seems like their general manager and their front office really likes these kind of versatile forwards that are obviously very tall and they have long wingspans. They can get into passing lanes. They can space the floor. They did that last year with Bilal. I've gone back and forth if I like Reece Shea to Washington. I think I'd like it a little bit more if there was maybe a little bit more openings with the forward positions, and this is a team that desperately needs a lead initiator or a rim protector. But I think if I'm predicting what's going to happen, I think Washington would go number 2 with Zachary Reece Shea just to add another forward, shot creating ability. Maybe takes a little bit of time to get acclimated and is probably going to be more of like a complementary piece to whoever their next franchise player is going to be. But I feel like all signs are pointing to like Sarr 1, Reece Shea 2, or maybe a vice versa version of that.
No, I agree with you. I'm such a big fan of his game too. I think personally for me, I've always kind of strayed away from him going there just because of my personal expectation for him. I do think he's a really good pick for them. Like you said, you get another surrounding piece for whoever is going to eventually become, your main guy, and you're going to have Denny, Bilal, and Richard Sarr. So I think that would be a good little trio of like wings who can guard all over the place. They're going to be able to complement, play without the basketball. But I definitely have considered what you said, which is they don't have that lead initial guy, and knowing how he plays and operates off of other players, it scares me. But Rome wasn't built in a day, is what Washington Wizard fans are telling me. They want him. I think it looks like they're going to get him. And so at number 3, that leaves us with the Houston Rockets. Another interesting team because they had such a good, I don't want to say great, but such a good year last year, making such big strides. You have Alperen Sengun at the center position. Amin Thompson, I felt like, was a really good pick. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith. They have a lot of nice, strong, youthful guys. There's a lot of different directions they could go. I'm personally going to select Reed Shepherd. The reason I'm selecting Reed Shepherd here is I feel like though he isn't the most sexiest third overall pick with all of this upside oozing all over the place, but I do think that there is a such thing as just getting a good pick. And I think they're in a spot where they have so much youthful talent mixed in with some veteran talent that you don't have to try to hit the home run pick for extreme upside. And I think a lot of teams fail in their process by trying to make upside picks every time they're at the top of the lottery. This is a guy that has a very high floor, and he does have a decent ceiling as well. So I think he can come in and learn from Fred VanVleet from day one. I think he complements your main star player in Alperen Şengün with his ability to catch and shoot, play with the basketball, solid decision maker. I think that's an area for him to grow. We only saw what he was doing in a loaded backcourt with Wagner and Dillingham. So now that, in a couple years he could just be the lead guy, I think there's a world where he's a really good complementary piece.
Yeah. And I think what I like about Shepherd so much is like what you said, and like you don't have to go for the super high upside guy. I feel like Shepherd could be like a complementary piece, and he could fit in on maybe every team here. You don't have to like completely change your team's team building or dynamic around Reed Shepherd. He'll adjust for that team specifically. And the Rockets are playing with house money here. They were 41-41 last year. They should not be picking third overall, but this pick, obviously from the Harden trade, like they could just get depth pieces, adjacent pieces to their eventual top guys going forward. So I like that a ton, and I think that's what they should do. Yeah, I actually want to ask you, do you think, like, the rumors with like the Rockets would trade all the Nets picks back for the Suns picks back? Yeah, to like get Mikal. Would you do that if you're Brooklyn, or would you just kind of try to stay the course, try to get another big name this offseason?
Oh, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm trying to get those picks back.
Okay,
I need those picks. I like Mikal Bridges. I like the team that they've had the last couple of years, but there's just no real sense of direction. Mikal is not the number one guy, which is fine. They tried it out, but I would definitely try to get my picks back. I've been one of those guys that have been saying trade Mikal and get picks. And everybody in the Brooklyn fan base is like, we don't have our own picks, though. But it's like, you have to bite the bullet. I'd rather not have my own picks and trade Mikal for other picks. And just, hey, if a team is able to capitalize off of our picks, sure, go ahead. But I just don't see the value of holding on to Mikal, because the longer you hold on to him, the less his value goes down. He's on a really good contract for a couple of years still, and like if you don't take advantage of him having a couple of years on that contract, then before you know it, he's on the last year and the value drops significantly. So I always try to get ahead of the curve when I'm putting on my GM cap. So yeah, I trade it and get those picks, man.
Yeah, and I feel like they're getting an out too. It's like you're not trading them for like random picks that the team may be good. Like you're getting your own picks back, so you can actually. Yeah, so like they're getting an out here, and it's a really good 2025 class, and I feel like that's the big thing. And you get the third pick in this draft. I agree. I think they should do it. I don't really know what they're trying to do right now. So that leaves me at 4, San Antonio. We've had Sarr, Reese, and Shepherd go 1, 2, 3. I think for San Antonio, you can go two different things. Obviously, they could look to move a pick or two. They could target maybe a defensive-minded guy with one of them. They could target maybe a guard or a lead ball handler with another one. I've gone back and forth between like 3 different guys here. It's either Dillingham, Topic, or Stephon Castle. And I think I'm going to go Nikola Topic here. I still think I really like have a lot of stock into his court vision and what he could do in the half court. He's tall, physical, like kind of like a modern day point guard, but even then some. And I think the shot is actually going to develop in the league because I like his form. He's a good free throw shooter in Serbia, and I think consistent enough with teams doubling Wemby and having so much focus on him. Topic could be the guy that gets Wemby the ball, but then also is going to get some good looks as well and can operate in the pick and roll. I definitely see the reasoning to go Dillingham or Castle for the defensive side and Dillingham for the shot creating, but I think for just the overall lead initiator for this team, if they don't get one via trade, I like Topic at 4.
I'm not mad at that pick at all. I think that's one of the dream scenarios for the Spurs. That he is still there at 4. I agree with you. I buy into the shot. There's a lot of guys who I think didn't shoot the ball as well or as promising as others, and I think people have these question marks on them. But like you said, he shot the free throw real well. He got to the basket, which is his domain, and he's an incredible passer. And playing with a guy like Vic, or even if you're not playing with Vic, I buy into people's shots when I look at the shot diet, how they're getting their shots, and then the form and how it looks. If you don't have a completely broken shot, there's no reason for me to write a guy off before he enters the NBA.
For sure.
And I think guys like him, who are so dynamic in the pick and roll with the pass and being able to get to the rim with their size and finish, you don't necessarily have to be JJ Redick. Being an average three-point shooter would do you justice. It's only problematic when you're a liability or you're like Ben Simmons where you're not even looking to shoot. But I think some of these guys are so dynamic as guards that, hey, you don't have to necessarily be lights out from three. You just have to be willing to take them, and hopefully on some nights respectable enough that they have to regard you in some form or fashion. And guys like Amen Thompson and Asar, they were able throughout some certain stretches of their rookie season be effective without being able to knock it down at all. So another big point guard in San Antonio to pair up with Wemby. I like that pick a lot. At 5, we have the Detroit Pistons. It's probably one of the toughest spots for me personally.
Yeah.
Just because I think their dream scenario is off the board, which is Richardson, Zachary Richardson, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right.
Yeah, I think it's Risache, but dude, I butchered so many names. I remember like when Wemby was coming onto the scene, I would call him Wembanyama and not Wembanyama, and I think I was just like, whenever I would watch like film or highlights of him, it would always be with like the sound off and I'd be doing something else, and then I remember when I finally like was saying it wrong, I was just like, come on, man, what am I doing?
So say it one more time, Risache.
Risache. Yeah.
So I think he would be the dream fit for the Pistons, just because his strength is playing without the basketball. They have a lot of guys that can play with the ball already. But based off what's still left on the board, I'm gonna take my young guy from back home, Modest Buzelis. I think he has just extreme upside. 6'10", can handle the basketball, and I think he's just the best get you can get at 5. I don't think that they need necessarily another guard like Rob Dillingham, who is commanding the basketball, because you have Ivy and you have Cade, but they do need some size. Modest didn't shoot the ball how he normally shoots it while he was at the G League. Hopefully you can get him back on track there, but I do think with his size, with his versatility, it would give them another piece that they can put in their puzzle.
Yeah, and I think for Buzelis too, I have faith in his shot, because he was a good shooter from what I know in high school. And like last year, I mean, the Ignite was like such a weird environment, and like I'm not going to put too much stock in it, because we've seen guys come and go through the Ignite that haven't lived up to expectations in that season alone. And even like Scoot and some other guys have struggled to shoot the ball in the Ignite. So I think Buzelis is going to be fine, and I like that fit in Detroit at 5, because he can play next to Darren, he can play next to Asor, and I don't know if you want to go like Ron Holland specifically, because he's kind of a duplicate of Asor Thompson for you, and that team needs shooting and shot creating desperately. So at 6 with the Charlotte Hornets. So I don't know like if I want to buy into like what's going on with Stephon Castle. Like, will he not go to a team that already has a franchise point guard? That's apparently been a rumor. So I guess for the mock purpose, I'm not going to go that route. I wouldn't. So then I'm going to go. I think I'm still looking at like best player available for Charlotte. And I think Holland could be there. I think Dillingham could be there. And Klingon are like the 3 best guys available outside of Castle. But I think I honestly could talk myself into Dillingham, because I think he could play in between Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball. And LaMelo being 6'7" can obviously guard some of the taller physical guys on the defensive end, because that's the one knock for Dillingham. For Klingon, it's like, they already have Mark Williams, but he's had trouble staying healthy the first 2 years of his career. So I think I'm just going to go... I think I'm going to go best player available, or somebody I think that will help them out offensively. And I'm going to go Rob Dillingham, something I haven't really mocked before. Like in this case, I would go Holland or I would go Castle. But I like the idea of Reed Shepherd to Charlotte a ton, and I think Dillingham can play off ball, which is great, but he can also excel with the ball in his hands, and LaMelo has had kind of trouble staying healthy as well, and he could kind of be combo guard, backup point guard, off ball too. So I think Dillingham is a little versatile for this team. The question marks are defensively, and I totally get that, and that's something I'm kind of doing for the first time here, which is why I kind of like these mock drafts. I like these collab mock drafts, because like that's something I've never done before, but that's just the way the board has fallen.
Yeah, this is that I haven't mocked that one up either, so I like it though. It's something new, something different. That is an interesting point that you bring up too, and I was trying to consider that when I was doing my mock, or even thinking about my next mock, is how much do I consider what's coming out of Stephon Castle's camp. And not only how much do I consider it, but how much do the other teams consider it? Like,
sure.
if he's there at 6 and Charlotte likes him, do they care? Because sometimes you have that in the NBA where guys don't want to go certain places, or they do, and teams just don't care. It's just like, hey, your end goal is to get to the NBA. We're putting you in the NBA. We're going to draft you. You're going to have to deal with it. And then normally guys kind of get over it and just start playing basketball. Because when you look at the top areas that he's projected to be, there isn't a bunch of necessarily like open end opportunity at the guard position. You get what I'm saying? He's not going 1. 2 is very rich. As much as I love Stephon Castle, he's one of my favorite players, if not my favorite player in this draft. I think 2 is extremely rich, unless Washington is willing to trade back with a Hornets or a Detroit, which I've thought about. Like, if Detroit could put something together to entice Washington, that would get them I don't want to say his name wrong again, but Richard Shar, they could get him at 2, but then what are they willing to give up? Because you would have to, like I said, entice Washington.
Yeah.
But I think that's an incredible conversation that can lead to a lot of different scenarios going closer and closer to the draft. Yeah. Personally, real quick for you, if you're a GM, like you just were with the Hornets, how much do you take into consideration of that coming out of his camp, or do you ignore that and still say, we love him, he's the guy we want, and we're going to pick him?
Yeah, I think I would go with like the latter there. Like, I think if like you invite him to the workout and he doesn't, now I don't know kind of like how that operates over there, and like obviously maybe that's not like a great sign, but if he's like still willing to work out and you have a connection, but he's like, you know, I'd prefer to start somewhere and be the franchise guy, but you feel like he could play multiple positions for you, I think I would still do it. Like, these guys are 19 and 20. Maybe they're at a stage where they think they like kind of want something specifically. And then as they mature in the league, like, this is like where they're best suited. And if they're going to give Castle a plan where he's going to be optimized to the best of his ability, he's going to be able to excel in the league and make a ton of money, I think I would still do it. I think that like reminds me of like what came out recently with like Evan Mobley and the Cavs. He didn't want to go to Cleveland and they still ended up drafting him, and it worked out, and now he's happy there. So I think like the grass is always greener, and I think for Charlotte too, like it seems like it's a new environment there. So maybe I should have had Castle go 6. It's interesting, kind of like looking back on it and like what could happen and who's working out where and stuff.
No, yeah, and the last point I'll make before I pick for the Blazers is like, I don't know where this stuff comes from, because a lot of times, like you said, they're 19. A lot of these guys are being advised. They have agents now, and they're coming from agencies and different people in their corner telling them what they should and shouldn't do. But when you really think about the landscape of the NBA, even Stephon Castle, if he projects to be every bit of his potential, the way the NBA is, there's not a lot of backcourts where you're just by yourself. You have to be like one of a kind Luka Doncic, and even then he's sharing a basketball with Kyrie Irving. You get what I'm saying? And we look at Minnesota right now down 3-1, and part of the problem is because they don't really have anybody next to Anthony Edwards who can alleviate the pressure that they need right now. Mike Conley isn't bad at all, but they maybe need a little bit more. So I just don't see a scenario where a prospect can say, I just want to be the guard and I want to be controlling everything. Hey, if you go 4th to the Spurs, Stephon Castle, Vic Wembanyama is going to have the basketball an awful lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just not a lot of places where you're just going to dominate the basketball. And as much as I like him, again, I don't even know if that's his game to that degree where a team is literally saying, you have the basketball and everybody else is going to watch. So I don't know.
No,
7. This is the most complicated team to pick for in this entire lottery, because they have 2 picks. But right now, I think they have an easy pick. I like Stephon Castle, but again, we just talked about if there's one team that should stay away, it's definitely the Blazers with Simons and Brogdon and Scoot and Shaedon Sharp. So I'm going to give them Cody Williams. I feel like they need wing depth. A lot of this team is guard heavy. I'm gonna give him Cody Williams. I think he can slide in and fit well with them. He can do a lot of different things, and this is like an actual need for them. So I think they have it good to where everybody is kind of taking all of these different picks, and they're going to have some type of wing be there because there's so many guards being taken off the board early, whether it's Holland, whether it's Cody Williams, whether Modest Buzelis is still available when they pick 7 in real life. They are going to be able to leave with a guard with one of their lottery picks, and I like that for them.
Yeah, and they can go in a bunch of different routes. They pick at 14, and I wonder like how many veterans they're going to move this offseason as well to open up minutes for these young guys. At 8, San Antonio, so I got to take Topic at 4. Now, I think I'm going to just ride with, oh man, like... See, they experimented with Wemby at like the 4 at the start of the year with like Sohan running the point and Collins kind of playing alongside him, and it didn't work out. I just kind of like like this is like the way that this draft fell for them is great because you can go Klingon because I think he's a sure like safe prospect. Connect gives you some like floor spacing ability, some scoring. Castle, Holland. Oh, this is a tough decision to make between those 4. Right? Like, I feel like they're going to come out like they're going to be like winners. It's going to be so hard for them to mess this up. I'm going to go... You know what? I'm going to double up. I'm going to go Stephon Castle. I think for them specifically, you know what? They're bringing in Topic. Maybe this is going to light a fire under Castle. Like, he's going to be able to compete with another rookie for that lead point guard spot. And I think Castle's shot will be fine eventually throughout this league. And I think he's going to be able to play off ball. He's a good kind of off ball player right now with his cutting and slashing ability. Good defender. And I think San Antonio needs that. So I'm going to go Castle there at 8. And they kind of get 2 guards here in the top 10. And I'd love that for them, honestly.
This goes back, if you can stay right here at the bottom to show what we pick. This is my main point for Stephon Castle and anybody in his circle. You're not going 1. 2 is a stretch. Even as somebody who I'm his biggest fan in the draft, 2 is a stretch. 3, the Rockets probably aren't taking you either because they have a lot of stuff there, and I think he's kind of similar in certain ways to Amin Thompson. So it's like they wouldn't double up on that. 4, the Spurs could take you there as well. But again, you're going to be playing with Vic, who's going to have the ball a lot. You're not going to the Pistons because they have K based off what you want. That also applies to the Hornets. That also applies to the Blazers. You're going to a team that's going to have a guard unless you don't want to be picked in a lottery. So even the Grizzlies at 9, which is who I'm picking for now, right? Like they have Ja Morant. Who's drafting at 10?
Utah. So, like, yeah, Utah would probably be, like, the floor of him. Like, if you want to go in the top 10, are you going to risk a couple $1 million to just want to go to 10 rather than 4, 5, 6?
And even they have Keontae George, who they should be in love with based off of his rookie season. So, I think you hurt yourself a lot more by trying to find a specific route because it just doesn't exist right now with the order of this draft. Maybe if Brooklyn did the trade, they would have a spot for you, but this is the easy one. I know it's rumored that they're going to be looking to trade this pick more than likely for a ready now player. But if for whatever reason they didn't have success in trading this pick, I think you easily go Donovan Clingan. This is like the easiest home run pick that they could get. A 7-2 guy now comes into this roster after trading Steven Adams, and I think he's able to pick up those pieces as a rookie. My main thing with him out of the gate would be how many minutes could he play. But I do think he could have a very impactful rookie year, kind of how Walker Kessler had. You know, he was able to rim protect and just score at the rim easily. And because they already have such an established team, he's gonna have it easy. He's gonna come in there day one playing with Ja, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson. This would be them having an opportunity to do this makes me kind of feel like maybe they should think twice about trading this pick.
Yeah. I would wait to see if Clingan is like there, or I wouldn't hate them trading up for Clingan too, because like they moved on from Adams. He's a winning player, like just won 2 national titles. They're trying to win an NBA championship or at least be in that conversation next year with that team fully healthy. I like that a ton. I'm like, that's one of the best fits in the top 10 is for sure Clingan, because he could play alongside Triple J. He could be a good like rock solid big off the bench in big minutes in the playoffs. That's like a match made in heaven for sure. This is interesting at 10. I'm going to debate between Connect and Holland. It's just kind of figuring out what Utah wants specifically. They're a team that I think is up in limbo this offseason. Who's going to be on this team next year? Will they move on from Collins? Will they extend Markkanen? Are they going to operate with Kessler as the 5? Are they going to go Collins at the 5 next year? There's a couple different things that can go here. I think for Utah, I'm going to hold off on the scoring of Dalton Connect And I think I'm just going to go on the potential of Ron Holland and what he could provide defensively for this team. Yeah, so he could play the 2, the 3, the 4. The shot has its question marks, but I think he has confidence in the shot. I think it will be okay. I don't think he's going to be unplayable or anything, but that defense is going to be huge for a team just trying to compete in the Western Conference. And you need guys that could step up on a wing-driven league and guard some of the top wings in the West.
I agree with you. I think this is the same route I would have went if I had that pick. I think at 10, based on the position that they are, you kind of you have to take a swing at that point. If you're Utah, you've already taken a bunch of swings. You have Lar, you have Kessler, you have Keontae George. They have a lot going on to not be like a solidified team. And so at 10, to get a guy who was projected at one point to be the number 1 pick in this draft, I think that's good upside and good value.
For sure.
So I love that pick. At 11, we have the Bulls, a team that's kind of in a similar position. It seems like DeMar DeRozan will be back. Lonzo Ball is saying he'll be playing, hopefully at game 1. Zach LaVine is probably the only thing that's up in limbo if they are able to move him. They definitely seem like they do. And when you look at them from that standpoint, they don't have too many holes. As crazy as it sounds, as bad as of a year that they had, you have DeMar DeRozan, you have Kobe White, who was phenomenal, you have Lonzo Ball potentially coming back, you still have Alex Caruso, you have Nikola Vucevic, you have Patrick Williams still. You're probably only losing Andre Drummond and then trying to trade Zach LaVine, and then maybe some vets. I don't know if Torrey Craig is coming. Who knows? But for the most part, you have a strong 7-8 guys that you can count on being there next year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shock a lot of people, probably going to shock you. And I've come up with this because I'm planning on doing a rebuild with the Bulls very soon. And so I've been thinking about what I would do at 11. And we're going to take a page out of the Suns book where all of these guys right now on the screen, they're wonderful. And they may have all of these upside over some other guys. But we're going to scroll down. And we're going to select Khalil Ware.
Okay. I like it.
We're going to reach. The reason we're going to reach is because everybody else up there at the top of the ladder board, they're, like I said, they're really good prospects, but I don't see a world where they will really have the opportunity. Like Jacoby Walter, I really like. Where does he fit in with the Bulls at day 1? Same thing with Dalton Connect. He's going to give them shooting, but I just named 4 or 5 guards with the thought of Zach LaVine being traded. I think Khalil Ware is a really good prospect who a lot of people aren't talking about as much as they should be. And I think because you have Nikola Vucevic, there's no rush for him to come in and have everything figured out from day 1. But we're talking about a guy who's a 7-footer, has rim protection ability, he can step out and hit the 3, and he's an athletic big who can finish at the rim. In today's game, if you're able to get that and develop it and put it all together in some way, shape, or form, you have something nice. And when we look at the success of Derek Lively, it only entices me more to look at a guy like Khalil Ware. And again, because you have Nikola Vucevic, there is no rush for him to have it all figured out. And I think this is a nice pick for the Bulls that they can, reap the benefits of down the line. So I'm going to take a stretch there. Khalil Ware out of Indiana. That might be my big stretch of the draft.
No, yeah, I like it. I haven't mocked that before. I don't know if I've ever done Ware in the lottery, but I like the idea of them going big man. Like if they're gonna run this team back and they think fully healthy, they can legitimately win a playoff series and elevate some of their younger guys on their team, like a White and Dosunmu. I would like all for grabbing probably the best athletic center remaining, or athletic big man as a whole in Khalil Ware. He can potentially space the floor right away. He can rim protect. I don't hate that at all. And like now I'm thinking about it, I can get behind that for sure. Yeah. Khalil Ware to Chicago. I could get behind that. So 12 OKC. I'm going to just go best player available with Dalton Connect. I could see the appeal in going like a T-John Salon, someone that could maybe take time to develop. They did something similar with Ousmane Dieng. They could go another plug-and-play guy as well. But Gordon Hayward is most likely gone. For their bench unit, it's great with Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, and Aaron Wiggins. But a lot of those guys, I think, benefit with a primary shot creator or someone that's drawing defense's attention that could eventually kind of get them to their spots. And I think Connect, 22 years old, going to be 23. He's NBA ready, and OKC's trying to win a championship next year. And I think he's someone that can contribute right away from day 1.
I love that pick. again, like, they've done that route of like upside and project pick so many times that yeah, I think this is the year where you go the opposite route. So I like that pick a lot, and he gives you the perimeter shooting, and not only is he a shooter, he's a scorer, so I think that helps as well. At 13, we have the Sacramento Kings, another interesting team because they have a lot of boxes checked off where you have a legitimate starting five, you have a 6 Man of the Year candidate in Malik Monk, who you might lose, or you might are able to bring back. My mind automatically goes to a lot of different options. Obviously, you have Jacoby Walter up there, who I think could come in and fit what they do. I also like Jared McCain a lot. I love Jared McCain. I think he's a guy who could be a steal, and teams will regret allowing him to fall as far as he potentially can. And because of that, oh man, do I go McCain or do I go Walter? McCain or Walter?
It's tough. It's tough.
Let's go Jared McCain.
Okay.
Let's go Jared McCain. You need a shot maker in this league. I think he's a guy that will be able to play with De'Aaron Fox. He can also back up De'Aaron Fox from day one. And I think he fits the offense of what they try to do. They try to go out there and get buckets. He's going to come in and do that. And he's an underrated point guard. I think he showed me what I love most about him. If I was a GM drafted in this draft, is he can adapt. He's been his whole life the lead guard and handling the ball. He went to Duke, played with Jeremy Roach and Tyrese Proctor, and was able to just become a shot maker and spot up and play off of those guys and still be a good decision maker. So I like Jared McCain there. The Kings, I think this is a home run pick for them personally.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if Monk leaves, which it's probably going to happen because they can't afford him like kind of the full max that he's probably wanting. There's good defense with Davion Mitchell and Keon Ellis, but there's definitely question marks with their shooting. And I think McCain is as good, or if not, like just right behind Shepard and Dillingham and Connect in the lottery for some of the best shooters. So I would 100% do that, and I like that a lot. So that leaves 14 Portland. We've already done Cody Williams, so there is still the appeal in Jacoby Walter here. There's the appeal in Tijon Salon here. I love Isaiah Collier as a prospect. I think he's good enough to be a borderline top 10 guy in this class. But it's once again running the question though. Like they have Scoot, obviously he's the franchise point guard. What's Brogdon and Simons' future on this team potentially? Could they go another backup point guard? Like you're drafting Collier to be a backup, but someone that could be a good scorer off the bench. But I think I'm still gonna go. We're gonna go the athleticism. We're gonna go the length. Maybe Cody Williams and who I'm gonna go Tijon Salon aren't gonna be the guys right away. But I think you're building something with defensive versatility, and I think for Salon some floor spacing and someone that could be a complementary piece to Scoot. And if it's Aiden or whoever the next center is for this team, so we're gonna go a little bit more upside with the 14th pick. I think actually we went double upside there with Williams and Salon.
Man, I think when Blazer fans see this video, they're going to be happy with us. If you're telling me that they can walk out on draft night with that much potential and upside at positions that aren't guard-based, I'm a happy Blazers fan. Even if it doesn't pan out the way, in a dream world scenario, but I think you just want to be in a position to have a little bit of diversity when you talk about your future and some of the prospects and upside that you have. You now have Scoot, Shaedon Sharpe, Cody Williams, you have Salon, and you're going to be right back in the same position next year to potentially get like a Cooper Flag. I don't know. And then you still have the ability to trade a Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Grant. So like I just think that that's a good draft for them walking out on draft night. 15, 100%. Miami Heat. Holy man, they have a lot going on. You have Tyler Hero, you have Butler, you have Bam, you now have Rozier with 2 years left at $25 million apiece. I love Nikola Jovic a lot. So it's so many different directions that they can go in. I am going to double down on the guard position, and I'm going to give them Devin Carter. Mm-hmm. I think he fits Heat culture. He does a little bit of everything. He's a guy that I think can play in a lot of different ways. He averaged almost 9 rebounds a game. Rebounding translates to the NBA. And I just saw my guy Corey Tulliver comparing him to kind of like a Josh Hart, where he's going to be able to do a lot of different things on the floor. He's going to come with the energy. He's going to defend. He can hit open shots. And when you think about the Heat, I think that's the type of stuff that they're looking for. He's the son of a former pro, Anthony Carter. He gets it. He's going to fit into the Heat culture. And I think he can be a guy that can help them from day one. So give me Devin Carter at 21 years old, coming in day one, ready to play with the Heat culture next to Jimmy Butler and Tyler Herro and doing a lot of the dirty work. That's the only upside that he would have over a Collier, or like a Jacoby Walter. I think he just fits what they do a lot more and better.
Definitely. I mock it all the time. But you know what I need? I need the Knicks to move their picks and get Devin Carter. He's like the perfect Tibbs guy as well.
He is a Tibbs guy. Yes, he is.
For
he
sure.
checks that box.
I need that. But I don't think he makes it past 15 for sure. There's a chance he goes in the lottery now. 16, Philadelphia. A bunch of options that I like for them here specifically. I think for Philadelphia, I think their plan this offseason should be get guys that can defend, can shoot, and will hustle on the glass, get complementary pieces around Embiid and Maxey. And I'm a big fan of Tristan da Silva in this class. I'm going to have him go out of Colorado. He's someone that can do a little bit of everything, not an elite prospect, but he's quick, he's athletic, he's able to crash the glass, he could shoot, he could defend, he could pass. I think he could do a little bit of everything, and I think that's what Philadelphia needs. They need more of even like Kelly Oubre, who stepped up for them, I think, at times in the playoffs. Like, guys that can replicate that. The reason I think they lost to, like, Miami 2 years ago and the Knicks this year, Miami a couple years ago, Boston, the Knicks, is they get out rebound, they get out hustled. Let's get guys that can help with them right away. He's 22 years old. I think he'll be a good contributor.
Amazing pick for them. A big Tristan da Silva fan.
Yeah, he's good.
I mocked him. Him and Kevin McCullough are like the two guys, so I just don't see them walking away from
No
that
shot.
pick.
Yeah.
This is an easy pick for me at 17. I think this is where Isaiah Collier can go. Collier could go to the Pelicans. They have a need at that point guard position. They have a lot going on, so they don't need to put too much on him from day one, but I do think he could develop. And these are the type of picks that teams like them end up hitting on like years from now, where it's like, okay, you have a CJ, you have a Herb, you don't have a clear-cut spot for him from day one, but you put him in a position where there's some type of foundation, there's some vets, there's some winning, and he gets to learn. And then in 2 or 3 years, you're looking up like, man, how did they get him? So I love this pick for them. This is just the rich continuing to get richer. Obviously, they haven't had the success that they want, but I just feel like they're loaded all over the place with talent. They have CJ. They now have Isaiah Collier. They have Herb Jones, Dyson Daniels, Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, Zion Williamson, Valanciunas, who's going to go into free agency, Larry Nance. For them to not have gone on a crazy run, obviously due to injuries, you look at this team like, man, what real holes do they have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot of talent all over the place.
For sure. Like, this would be a home run pick if they're able to land Isaiah Collier in this draft. And I think, it could eventually be the franchise point guard if maybe Dyson Daniels doesn't end up developing in that type of way and they need a post-McCollum era guy. I like that a ton. So we're here at the Magic at 18. Two guys stand out to me specifically. I mean, I like Johnny Furphy's shot. I think it's NBA ready, but I think for them, they can't pass up on Jacoby Walter here. I think Walter could have struggles with his maybe inside scoring a little bit right away, but I think he's going to be someone that can actually be a great 3-and-D guy next to Franz and Paolo next year and Suggs, and he could space the floor. I think he's got high motor, all the athleticism in the world to be a good defender, and he doesn't need to be this great shot creator that people thought he could be a top 5 pick on. He just has to be someone that knows his role, plays good defense, hits shots, and I think that's what he could be for the Magic, who are trying to maybe make a round 2 or 3 series next year.
That is a perfect pick. Again, like another scenario where if I'm a Magic fan or if I work in the Magic front office and we walk out with Jacoby Walter,
Gotta be happy with that.
Man, I'm loving that.
For sure.
Now I'm on a clock with the Raptors. The Raptors. So we got Emmanuel Quickley, who me and you are extremely familiar with. We also have R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes. They have Jakob Poeltl, who I like a lot. That wing / forward and 3-point shooting is really, really missing here. I love Johnny Furphy, but he reminds me of the Grady Dick pick from last year. So I'm probably straying away from that. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go Kevin McCullough. I'm gonna go Kevin McCullough Jr. I think this is just a solid pick. Another Kansas guy. He's gonna come in at 22 years old, ready to play. I think he can play off of everybody that you have there that you're prioritizing. He can play off of Scotty Barnes. He can play off of Emmanuel Quickly. He can play off of R.J. Barrett. Not necessarily the upside pick, but you took that last year with Grady Dick. Now you play it a little bit more closer to the floor and get somebody that you know is going to be willing to come in from day one and compete. I think so many teams need that. I know it's very tough to stray away from the intriguing upside of things, but I also think that there's value in just putting the pieces together. And I think because you have so many boxes kind of checked off as of now, it's nothing wrong with just getting a piece that subtly fits the puzzle.
Yeah. McCullough, I think they need someone that can kind of help them out right away, and he can, I think, play well with like Quickly. Dude, I'm so high on Quickly next year for sure. Just like a full year with the Raptors. I'm so excited. Man. We got the Cavs at 20, a team that may have the craziest offseason, may just run it back completely. We'll see what happens with them. I think they could look for the upgrade over like the Tristan Thompson as like the backup 5 spot, depending on who's even starting at center for them next year. And there's plenty of big men still on the board. There's some upside with some 3-and-D guys, because I think McCullough I would have done here. De Silva I would have done here. You know what? I'm actually going to go with a little bit of a higher upside play. I'm actually going to go Tyler Smith. I'm a big fan of Tyler Smith and his shot. And he's 6'10". It's probably one of the better looking shots for any big man in this draft. There's maybe some like positional concerns, like where he's actually going to fit at the NBA level. Could it be the 3, the 4, the 5? But I think in Cleveland, I think in an ideal world, if like there's some Mobley at the 5 minutes, Smith is the perfect adjacent 4, because Mobley can help him out defensively, but Smith can also open up the paint because he can knock down threes at a good clip for his position. So I'm going to go Smith there to the Cavs at 20.
When I did my mock, same pick, same thinking. I was like, hey,
I like it.
Jared Allen not necessarily guaranteed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You slide down Mobley, and even if Jared Allen is still there, like you said, you could just bench looks throughout certain stretches of the game. So I like that pick. The Pelicans back on the clock. I think this is an area where you have to ask yourself a couple of things if you're the Pelicans. First and foremost, we were able to get somebody, a guard. Now this is a chance for us to double down on our big. Do we want to continue to play with a big who can't space the floor but can rebound and block shot? You know what I mean? Do all of those type. Because if that's the case, we go Yves Missy from Baylor. But if we want to buy into some type of floor spacing, also with a little bit of defense, we have Kyle Filipowski. I don't know what they're going to prioritize, and I don't know exactly what they're thinking. So I'll just go Kyle Filipowski.
Okay.
I'll go Kyle Filipowski for the Pelicans. I actually like the mold of Yves Missy a little bit better. But I don't know if they're tired of trying that with Zion. So maybe Kyle Filipowski stretches the floor enough for Zion to be able to have a different look. And I think at this point they have to try to attempt that. We haven't really seen them be able to get that done. So this is now the chance to do that.
For sure, and to get that Duke backcourt or that Duke frontcourt there in New Orleans is kind of cool. Yeah. 22, man. Phoenix, I have no idea what they're doing. There's been the Bronny rumors. I mean, I'm kind of inclined to mock Bronny here just because, like, we're predicting what's going to happen, not what we would do. But I don't know. I'm going to assume maybe that doesn't happen. I think that would be a little crazy if they did that, unless it went to LeBron. I'm going to go, there's some big man needs. I like Tyler Kolek, but I'm actually going to go Yves Missy here. I think that's pretty good value. I think he's a borderline lottery pick, like in the teens, and getting him at 22 is good value. I think they need some competition and good depth behind Jusuf Nurkic. I think at times Jusuf Nurkic became kind of a weakness for them, especially in the playoffs against the two-man game of Gobert and Towns and their athleticism and kind of versatility against Phoenix. So I'm going to get some depth. They don't really have any backup big mans right now, so I'm going to go Missy there at 22.
I think that's a home run pick for them. I'm pretty sure I had him mocked there too, because it just makes too much sense to pass on.
For sure.
The Bucks at 23. This is a tough one, but again, this is a spot where I always tell people where teams like them get what I call rich. So you already have a loaded team with Dame and Giannis and Middleton and different things like that, Bobby Porters. But there's so many gems around this part of the draft. This is where the Philadelphia 76ers got Tyrese Maxey. He was like the 21st pick. I believe we got quickly in the 20s. Desmond Bane was
McDaniels was in that too.
McDaniels, Pascal Siakam. There's a lot of really good picks that we see in the 20s, and I think they have to try to find that piece. So I'll go through all of these guys that I'm seeing right now. Zach Edey is a big time no for us. Bobby Clipman, who I like a lot. I just think that he's too much of a project for a team like them right now. Same thing with Keyshawn George. I like him a lot. I like his shooting. I like his size, obviously. I'm really looking at Tyler Kolek from Marquette, just as a backup guard who I feel like could come in and be ready to play from day one. I'm also looking at a Jalen Tyson down there from Cal, who I'm really hoping can go to our Knicks. I'm even thinking about if you can go up just a little bit. I think I saw one more person that I liked. Ryan Dunn is good defensively. Johnny Furphy. Carlton Carrington is like a Karis LeVert type guy. You know what? Let's. Oh man,
a lot of options.
So many different directions. Can I take a look at their depth chart?
Yeah.
So
I think they just
go ahead.
Because like you're looking at their team right now, and I think like you got basically a couple spots in locked next year, but I think they got to figure out they need to get younger, they need to get more athletic. Like Pat Connaughton's been great for them over the years, but I think they need to move on different directions. I don't know if Malik Beasley, they're going to be able to afford him. I like the idea of going a wing, and for this team, I think there's a way that they could figure out kind of that guy there, and like that could be Jalen Tyson, because I think he's someone that's day one ready. He's athletic, he's strong, he's got the motor, the competitiveness to go up against like those Pacer teams in the playoffs. I like Kolek, keep him in state, right? Keep him in state, yeah. You could do that, and he's someone that can run that offense. I like those ideas. I think, George and Carrington, a little bit more project plays Clipman. Like, they're trying to win right now. So I like the idea of Kolek or Tyson for them specifically.
Let me get rid of my bias, because I was really wanting him to fall to the Knicks. Give him Jalen Tyson. He's just too good to pass up on. He does a little bit of everything. He can shoot the basketball, handle the rock, guard, rebound. Again, he's in my top 5 of prospects that I personally love in this draft. And I think he is kind of just one of those guys where I look at him as like almost like a Josh Hart type of guy, where I think he's just going to be able to check a lot of different boxes. And like you said, he can come in and play from day one. He's an older guy. Even in the combine, when I was able to interview him and talk to him, I love his demeanor and his mindset. So Jalen Tyson to the Bucks. This is the type of pick that they have to hit this on.
Yeah. Definitely, like they kind of really need to, and yeah, I would love them to the Knicks, but it's cool. Like we get to both make picks for the Knicks. With one of them, I'm gonna go Tyler Kolek. I think in the non-Brunson minutes, I think they struggle finding someone to run the half court, and I don't know, as much as I love Deuce and I love his shooting and he's able to hit big shots and he's a dog defensively, I worry about his playmaking ability. I don't know if it's going to be ready next year. I don't know when it will come, if it ever does. So I'm going to go Tyler Kolek. NBA ready, can hit threes, can rebound, can I think set everybody up. And with the bench unit, maybe a McBride and DiVincenzo and Bojan, we'll see. He's able to kind of elevate those shooters. So I'm going to go Kolek there with the first Knicks pick.
I like that pick a lot. Just, again, another guy that just seems like a Thibodeau guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you made that pick, so maybe I can either continue to think that way with my pick, or I can maybe try to give us some type of project because we took a solid pick for the right now. So I'm looking at Keyshawn George. I never understand how to pronounce that properly. I've heard so many different ways. I love his size and his shooting and the upside there. I'm also looking at a Ryan Dunn, who I think Thibs would just say, hey, I don't care about the outside shot and the questions and concerns. This guy can guard, and that's always going to be a Thibodeau priority. Even as we continue to go down even further, there are some interesting things with like a Cam Christie, Dylan Jones. I think a Jenka is good, maybe too rich. Hunter Salas, Deron Holmes, because we don't know what's going to go on with Hardenstein, even though I think we are going to bring him back. Ultimately, let's go with let's go with Let's go with Ryan Dunn.
Okay, dude, Tibbs guy right there.
Yeah, let's get Ryan Dunn, man. We can never go wrong with the defense. 20 years old, 6'8", just a defensive menace who I think at the worst is going to find a way to play just off of the defense. So let's go Ryan Dunn.
For sure. And I think like the Knicks, like they've been trading so many picks like as of late in the draft. I would like for them to make both these picks because I think there's going to be two really good role players available. And this seems like the role player draft. And I think like the Knicks continue to use those guys. And I would love if they kept both of them and got like a good initiator and a great defender with what we did.
That's the other part about these mock drafts is like, don't get me wrong, I would love to see the Knicks make two picks too. Mm-hmm. But me knowing the Knicks, it's hard for me to. Yeah, they're probably going to trade. They're probably going to trade one of them. Mm-hmm. So that's the other part that we haven't spoke about in this mock because we can only do what we can do. But I do think that this could be the draft potentially where we see a lot more trades and movement than we've seen in previous years. Even though there has been 1,000 rumors, this could be the actual draft where those rumors come to light and actually happen. I believe.
Yeah, I agree. Wizards here at 26. This is from the Gafford trade. Oh, man, we went recess shade 2. So there's still open holes at guard and center. And there's two names that are sticking out to me. And they're completely different players. Completely different in ages, play styles, everything. Bub Carrington at the 1. I think Zach Edey's going to be a first-round pick. And I don't know who's going to take a chance on him. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what GMs envision his ceiling to be in the league. But I think for a team like Washington actually may be a solid fit at 26 because you're not spending the second overall pick on him. You need centers. Like you have Holmes and Bagley on your roster right now. It's not great. And Edey will be better suited as someone that's a post player. You're going to have to give him the ball in the post. And honestly, this team in the second unit or even sometimes in the starting unit can afford to do so. So I'm actually going to go Edey here to the Wizards at 26. And I honestly don't hate it.
That's actually, again, I've said this a few times, it's the exact pick I made in my mock draft. For all of the same reasons.
They're going to be probably bad, but it might be a good spot for Edey to kind of figure out what he is in the NBA and a team that can actually let him like cook offensively.
Yeah, I just think it's a low risk, high reward for them. You already took your upside guy at 2 and who your real pick is. And yeah, at 26, you got him there. You have a hole at the center spot. Their starting center is with Marvin Bagley. Yeah. So again, yeah, like you said, let them have an opportunity, figure some things out. And if you hit, you hit. And if you miss, it don't matter because you had the second pick in the draft anyway, which was your real priority. 27, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I actually think that this is a spot where one of those two young guards could go, George or Carrington. I think when you talk about the size and shooting that George gives you, I think that's ideal. I think when you talk about the shot creation that Carlton Carrington gives you, I think that's ideal. Ultimately, I'm going to give them Carrington. We'll take Carrington.
Okay.
I just love his ability to handle the basketball. I think they don't have that off of their bench. They have a lot of other things, but they just don't have that piece and that punch. They have Naz Reid. They have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They have Kyle Anderson. But when you talk about somebody else that can do anything for themselves off of that bench, that's probably one of the key things that they're missing in their team. And to draft him and not really need that from him day one, but allow him to kind of cultivate that and develop in the back while they're winning, I think could be beneficial for them.
Definitely. Yeah, like with Monty Morris being a free agent, this team, and like he's a good shooter, Carrington, and he's one of the younger players in this draft. And Mike Conley's not getting any younger. And he could actually be somebody, like you mentioned before, that can kind of create their own shots adjacent to Anthony Edwards. And maybe that's the steal of the draft at 27. So we're here, Nuggets at 28. They've had like a similar mold kind of over the years with your Christian Browns, your Strothers, Watsons, like these kind of forwards that can do a little bit of everything. They want a little bit more upside, I think, with Watson specifically. So there's a couple options I like here. I think there's two guys I like specifically. Even like Cam Christie can kind of be into that mold. I mean, Deron Holmes is still available. I don't know why. I think it's ESPN's ranking. They have him so low. Like he's definitely better than the 50th ranked guy here. Right. So like maybe they look for the backup big man just because like Najee was questionable this year and DeAndre Jordan is obviously on the older side. So they don't go maybe a project play, but they got to, I think, figure out the KCP replacement down the line. And I think actually that's going to go Keyshawn George. Because George, I think there's going to be like a raw feel for the game, like where he knows to be in his spots. And when you're playing with Nikola Jokic, it's a different beast to know where to be on the floor. And I think that's like why KCP has been so good, because he's had the years to play with Jokic and he knows where to be. That's going to be tough kind of right away. But I think George, someone that's going to be really good on the back half of that rookie contract. He's got the 3-and-D upside, and I think could be the eventual KCP replacement. So I'm going to go wing there with the Nuggets at 28.
I'm not mad at that at all. I'm really not. 29. The Jazz.
Yeah, we want Holland.
Who do we? Okay, Ron Holland.
Yeah.
Just looking at everything that's in front of me with all of these different prospects, I see there's so many different routes that they can go. I'm gonna just double down on what they've been about, which is shooting the basketball with extreme size. At 29, I just can't pass up on Johnny Furphy.
Great value.
Extreme value. Again, he fits what they're doing. They have like a little thing going there where they're just taking a lot of these young talents and trying to develop them and put them in a position to play good basketball. Will Hardy is a great offensive mind, well, great coach, but really the offensive style that they've had with all of the movement and not having to really have anybody dominate the basketball. I think Johnny Furphy fits into that. And it just gives them, again, more shooting, more size, and that can never go wrong. So, yeah, give me Johnny Furphy for the Jazz.
100%. And I think, like, even at the Combine, like, we saw, like, I think the shot's NBA ready for someone that I think could maybe, take a little time to develop, like, his overall game, but the shot is there, and that's going to be so huge for them. So the
to him, he was hesitant. There's some hesitation. He was definitely making it clear that he could still go back to Kansas.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I think today, like, when we're recording this, is like the day they have to decide on.
It actually is. Yep.
Yeah. So, like, I wonder what he's gonna do. I remember talking to some people kind of like that were Kansas fans, and they were talking that they don't think he's gonna go back because I'm pretty sure, I forget if he's Australian, but I don't think he's eligible to like receive NIL money, so he's more inclined to go to the draft. Because like foreign players aren't eligible for it. So that I think could play a big part. And I think he's for sure a first round talent. But even if he stayed another year, I think he could be a lottery talent next year.
I agree. And yeah, I just looked it up. There is no update so far.
Okay.
But we definitely will probably get that answer sometime soon. But yeah, he just surprised me because he was very adamant on reminding us, I feel like, that, hey, I'm just testing. I'm testing. Like, I'm testing the waters here. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, somebody tweeted 45 minutes ago, less than 12 hours until the draft withdrawal deadline. Still a long list of notable players you have to make official decisions, and Johnny Furphy is on the list.
Yeah. So last pick of our mock, we're gonna go big man for Boston. There's always gonna be questions around KP's health. Horford's getting up there. Tillman's a free agent. I'm going to go Deron Holmes. I think he's for sure. Yeah, we had him go in the first round. There's a shot. There's some rim protecting ability. He's physical inside. And Boston needs, I think, to go big man at 30. I would have loved to see them do that. So they get a 4-year contract with Deron Holmes at a great value. So that's going to finish out our mock. I actually think I may have had 2 rounds selected on this, but that is our last pick.
Thank you for drafting him in the first round. Another great guy that we got a chance to talk to and interview. Loved his energy, loved his mindset, and I definitely think he's a first-round pick easily. He kept slipping my mind too because they had him at 50.
So low.
It's kind of outrageous,
right?
Kind of outrageous.
Yeah, definitely. So out of all these picks, kind of what's your favorite fit that we made out of any of these selections?
I would say I love the fact that you picked Jacoby Walter for the Magic. I love that pick a lot. I think Donovan Clingan going to the Grizzlies is another good one. Dalton Connect to the Thunder I really like. I love the fact that we were able to double down with the Blazers and get them upside. I love the fact that you took Edey. I just think that's a spot where you don't have to overthink. You got a 7'4" guy there, and you're the Wizards. So you don't really – it's not – every pick matters and every pick counts. But when you're a team like them in this rebuild mode and you have 2 picks, that second pick should always be something where it's like it don't have to be I don't want to call it a reach or but you got to take a shot. You got to take a chance. And because if that pick works out to any degree, not that he'll be an all-star, but if he's even serviceable at 7'4", you now have something to cook with. You now have a nice rebuild with Bilal, with Zachary, with Denny. I'm buying into year 2 Jordan Poole. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star, but I just don't think he can be any worse than that first year. Yeah, so there's something there. And I think it's something about low risk, high reward picks in the 20s, especially for teams like the Wizards.
Yeah, I agree totally. Because like the amount of 26 overall picks that actually become good rotational players isn't very high. So like you have a chance on someone that was just like National Player of the Year. The floor is very high. And I think even if you get someone that's a good 14 to 18 minute player a night at 26, like that's great. And if he's anything better, then it's an added bonus. But yeah, that was super fun to do, man. Thank you for hopping on and talking about the prospects. It's always fun to do kind of a back and forth mock draft because you never really know where it's going to go and you're making picks that you've never really made before. And it's kind of questioning how this process is going to go. But thanks again, man.
No, thank you for having me. It was a blast. I love hearing other perspectives. We're in such a time where, like on Twitter, everybody is so matter of fact. Everybody is so. I even see on some of yours when you post like a mock on Twitter or a video, and I peek in the comments a little bit, and it's just kind of always wild to me how people act like it's such a definitive like pick. You know what I mean? Like people might see this mock and be like, how did you guys get Rob Dillingham at 6? There's no way. And again, if you don't feel that way, I can agree. There's definitely a large percentage that Rob Dillingham won't go. But it's the NBA draft where anything can happen. There's nothing predictable about the draft, especially in a year like this. And to see some of our picks kind of align was also refreshing. That makes me feel good about where my mind is at when I did my own mock. To see you take Missy, or to consider Edie with the Wizards. Even when you took De Silva for the 76ers, like these are all picks that I think about all the time. And so when I saw you making those picks, it kind of made me feel like I kind of know a little bit of what I'm talking about, and I have a little bit of the pulse this draft. So yeah, this was fun, man. This was fun, and we both got to make Nick pick.
Dude, yeah, that was the best part for sure. No, but yeah, I couldn't set it better myself. Just like throughout the process, like nobody really knows. It's not a definitive thing in any sports and scouting and drafting. It's impossible to be correct all the time throughout this. So yeah, thank you for hopping on again. This was really fun. If you guys did enjoy, appreciate you dropping a thumbs up on the video, and then let us know in the comments what you guys thought about the picks we made, maybe for your favorite team. And we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace.